Hey guys, it's your girl Caitlin and welcome back to another ASMR video. And today we're going to be finishing Ruby the Red Fairy. Since there's only 2 chapters left in this book, the only 2 chapters we have left is Jack Frost's spell and a visit to Fairyland. So tuck yourselves in bed and please enjoy this story. As Jack Frost cast his spell, a great icy wind began to blow. It picked up the 7 rainbow fairies and spun them into the darkening sky. The other fairies watched in dismay. Jack Frost turned to the king and queen. "Your rainbow fairies will be trapped, never to return." With that, he left, leaving a trail of icy footprints quickly. Quickly the Fairy Queen stepped forward and lifted her silver wand. "I cannot undo Jack Frost's magic completely," she shouted, as the wind howled and rushed around her. "But I can guide the rainbow fairies to a safe place until they can be rescued." The Queen pointed her wand at the gray sky overhead. A black pot came spinning through the stormy clouds. It flew towards the rainbow fairies. One by one, the rainbow fairies tumbled into the pot. "Pot at the end of the rainbow, keep our rainbow fairies safely together," the Queen called, "and take them to Rainspell Island." The pot flew out of sight behind a dark cloud, and the bright colors of fairyland began to fade, until it looked like an old black and white photograph. "Oh no," Kirsty gasped. Then the picture in the pond vanished. "So the Fairy Queen cast her own spell," Rachel said. She was bursting with questions. "She put you and your sisters in the pot and sent you to Rainspell Island?" Ruby nodded. "Our queen knew that we would be safe here," she said. "We knew Rainspell Island well. It is a place full of magic." "But where are your sisters?" Kirsty wanted to know. "They were in the pot too," Ruby looked upset. "Jack Frost's spell must have been stronger than the Queen thought," she said. "As the pot spun through the sky, the wind blew my sisters out again. I was at the bottom, so I was safe, but I was trapped when the pot landed upside down." "So, are your sisters somewhere on Rainspell Island?" Kirsty asked. Ruby nodded. "Yes, but they're scattered all over the island. Jack Frost's spell has trapped them too." She flew towards Kirsty and landed on her shoulder. "That's where you and Rachel came in." "How?" Rachel asked. "You found me, didn't you?" the fairy went on. "That's because you believe in magic." She flew from Kirsty's shoulder to Rachel's. "So you could rescue my rainbow sisters too. Then we can all bring color back to fairyland again." It's chapter 6. Chapter 6, A Visit to Fairyland. "Of course we'll search for your sisters," Kirsty said quickly. "Won't we, Rachel?" Rachel nodded. "Oh, thank you," Ruby said happily. "But we're only here for a week," Rachel said. "Will that be long enough?" "We must get started right away then," said Ruby. "First, I must take you to Fairyland to meet our king and queen. They will be very pleased to know that you are going to help me find my sisters." Rachel and Kirsty stared at the fairy. "You're taking us to Fairyland?" Kirsty gasped. She could hardly believe her ears, nor could Rachel. "But how will we get there?" Rachel wanted to know. "We'll fly there," Ruby replied. "But we can't fly," Rachel pointed out. Ruby smiled. She whirled up into the air and flew over the girls' heads. Then she swirled her wand above them. Magic red fairy dust fluttered down. Rachel and Kirsty began to feel a bit strange. Were the trees getting bigger or were they getting smaller? They were getting smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller until they were the same size as Ruby. I'm tiny, Rachel laughed. She was so small the flowers around her seemed like trees. Kirsty twisted around to look at her back. She had wings, shiny and delicate as a butterfly's. Ruby beamed. Ruby beamed at them. Now you can fly, she said. Let's go. Rachel twitched her shoulders, wings fluttering as she felt herself rise into the air. She felt quite wobbly at first. It was very odd. Help! Kirsty yelled. As she shot up into the air, I'm not very good at this. Come on, said Ruby. Taking their hands, I'll help you. She led them up out of the glade. Rachel looked at Rainspell Island. She could see their cottages next to the beach and the harbor. Where is Fairyland, Ruby? Kirsty asked. They were flying higher and higher up into the clouds. It's so far away that no mortal could ever find, Ruby said. They flew on through the clouds in a long, long time, but at last Ruby turned to them and smiled. We're here, she said. As they flew down from the clouds, Kirsty and Rachel saw places they recognized from the pond picture. The palace, the hillsides, and the toadstool houses. The river, the flowers, but there were no bright colors. There were no bright colors now because of Jack Frost's spell. Everything was just a drab shade of gray. Even the air felt cold and damp. A few fairies walked miserably across the hillsides. Their wings hung limply down their backs. No one could be bothered to fly. Suddenly the fairies looked up into the sky. Look, she shouted. It's Ruby, she's come back. At once the fairies flew up towards Ruby and Kirsty and Rachel. They circled around them looking much happier and asking lots of questions. Have you come from Rainspell, Ruby? Where are the other fairies, Ruby? Who are your friends? First we must see the king and queen. Then I will tell you everything, Ruby promised. King Oberon and Queen Titania were seated on their thrones. Their palace was as gray and as gloomy as everywhere else on Fairyland. But they smiled warmly when Ruby arrived with Kirsty and Rachel. Welcome back, Ruby, the queen said. We have missed you. Your Majesties, I have found 2 mortals who believe in magic, Ruby announced. These are 2 friends of mine called Kirsty and Rachel. Quickly, Ruby explained what had happened to the other rainbow fairies. She told everyone how Rachel and Kirsty had rescued her. You have our thanks, the king told them. Our rainbow fairies are very special to us. And will you help us to find Ruby's rainbow sisters? The queen asked. Yes, we will, Kirsty said. But how will we know where to look? Rachel wanted to know. The trick is to not look too hard, said Queen Titania. Don't worry as you enjoy the rest of your holiday. The magic you need to find each rainbow fairy will find you. Just wait and see. King Oberon rubbed his beard thoughtfully. You have 6 days of your holiday left and 6 rainbow fairies to find, he said. A fairy each day, that's a lot of fairy finding. You will need some special help. He nodded out to one of his footmen. a plump frog in a button-up jacket. The frog hopped over to Rachel and Kirsty and handed them a tiny silver bag. These bags contain magic tools, the queen told them. Don't look inside them yet. Open them only when you really need to, and you will find something to help you. She smiled at Kirsty and Rachel. Look, shouted another frog footman. Ruby is beginning to fade. Rachel and Kirsty looked at Ruby in horror. The fairy was growing paler before their eyes. Her lovely dress was no longer red but pink, and her golden hair was turning white. Jack Frost's magic is still at work, said the king, looking worried. We cannot undo his spell until the rainbow fairies are all together again. Quickly, Ruby, urged the queen. You must return to Rainspell Island at once. Ruby and Kirsty and Rachel rose into the air, their wings fluttering. Don't worry, Kirsty called. As they flew higher, we'll be back with all the rainbow fairies very soon. Good luck, called the king and queen. Rachel and Kirsty watched Ruby worriedly as they flew off. But as they got further away from fairyland, Ruby's color began to return. Soon she was bright and sparkling again. They reached Rainspell Island at last. Ruby led Rachel and Kirsty to the clearing in the woods, and they landed next to the old black pot. Then Ruby scattered fairy dust over Rachel and Kirsty. There was a puff of glittering red smoke, and the two girls shot up their normal size again. Rachel wriggled her shoulders. Her wings had gone. "Aw, I loved being a fairy," Kirsty said. They watched as Ruby sprinkled her with magic dust over the old black pot. "What are you doing?" Rachel asked. "Jack Frost's magic means that I can't help you look for my sisters," Ruby said sadly. "So I will wait for you here in the pot at the end of the rainbow." Suddenly the pot began to move. It rolled across the grass and stopped under the weeping willow tree. The tree's branches hung right down to the ground. "The pot will be hidden under the tree," Ruby explained. "I'll be safe here." "We'd better start looking for the other rainbow fairies," Rachel said to Kirsty. "Where shall we start?" Ruby shook her head. "Remember what the queen said," she told them. "The magic will come to you." She flew over and sat at the edge of the pot. She then pushed aside one of the willow branches and waved at Rachel and Kirsty. "Goodbye, and good luck." "We'll be back soon, Ruby," Kirsty promised. "We're going to find all your rainbow sisters," Rachel said firmly. "Just wait and see." And that was the end of Ruby the Red Fairy. And since this is actually the first series of Rainbow Magic, so we only have 6 books left. We have Amber, Saffron, Fern, Sky, Izzy, and Heather. And lucky for me, I have all the books. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit notifications so you don't miss a video. The next book we'll be reading is Amber the Orange Fairy. Good night.